an IT services company. Like I said, it's based in Kumasi, and he's doing wonderful and great things in Kumasi as well. So um, to let's go straight to him and Mr. Ebenezer.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good
Welcome
afternoon.
to Audio Day Out 2020, and
Wow.
it's a privilege to have you.
I'm super excited.
Oh yeah, I know you are pumped up for this, and
Oh, it's normal.
yeah. So guys, we have Ebenezer Sap on here. Like I said, he's the CEO for Emsarp Music, and he's a resident sound engineer as well. So Ebenezer, over to you.
Yes, sir. In the first place, let me say a very good afternoon to Caleb and the team and everybody who helped up to join this and put this program together. I'm super excited, as I have already indicated. This afternoon, I have a little uh, workflow, but in a different dimension. In fact, in the time past, it has been something that was at the back end, but by grace of late, it's becoming and
Sure.
gaining more structures. I am talking about monitoring and monitor world workflow. Monitoring and monitor world workflow. This is something that a lot of people used to relegate to the background, but hey, you can't do without it in these current times. So, when you talk about monitoring or monitor, how or what do we mean? In a very gig, in every gig, there's supposed to be somebody who is up there making sure the front of house is working, somebody who is up there making sure the audience are having a good time at the auditorium. And in times past, the band and the minstrels or the ministry, that is those who are giving their ministrations on stage, they also find themselves in a very tight corner where they are not enjoying the whole groove. It's bad. And it's all because the monitor engineer had not been recognized as of yet. So let's say, although monitor engineering often thought of it as subordinate to handling FOH sound, in reality, it's at least as important. Let me put it that way. In reality, it is as important as the FOH, because there are two things that happen here. In order to create a musical performance, the audience has to have a need to feel you. I mean, they have to feel the sound. And then you also have to feel yourself and have a very good, tight stage presence as you yourself you are enjoying as well. So before we move on to our topic, there are three things that as a monitor engineer you need to prepare yourself for. One, you need to pen down your setup and your routing order. Andy spoke fantastically about that one. You can't do anything without preparing or having a preparation order for it. So you just have to pen down every setup. Just write it down, whether on your tablet or on anything. Write it down before the gig day. And then you keep record of every input and every output made on the stage. Keeping record of every input and every output made on the stage on that very day. And a very important thing which I usually do whenever I have a gig in contact with my band is that even though I may not be the one to handle the stage monitoring, but I make sure I get all that they need in their mix even before the day so that I can give it out to my monitor engineer and then he will in turn work around it. So you have to get in touch with the band to know their preferences before the gig. And then we move on to what even makes it a requirement. What requirements are there? There are two basic requirements. The requirement of the musician and the requirement for a sound quality, a certain sound quality. You know, stage mixing shouldn't be a problem of everything put together, but at least a bit of everything. Uncle Sammy Awanita will tell you that a bit of this, a bit of that, everything put together on the stage, and you have a balanced mix. So, because of the taste for a quality mix on the stage, that is why we require a stage monitoring. And now, there is this thing, why and when do we have a stage monitor or stage monitoring work done aright? There is what I call the sound check protocol. a sound check protocol. So anyone who has played a live gig will understand that you can't play a live gig without a sound check. You can't do that without a sound check. And then, so you with a sound check, what you have to do is that you have to get your people on board, the players and everybody on board, so that they will play through at least 2 or 3 tracks that they will be using or that they have their feel in. All right. And then the engineer or the stage monitor engineer will also take it from there. There's one typical complaint that is usually made by people or bands all over the world. That, however, when we were doing the sound check, everything was doing bad or everything was good. But now that we are having the show, there is this the sound has changed. Did the monitor engineer did anything wrong? No. Probably there are 2 or 3 things that might have happened. One, a spill from the front of house system to the stage. A spill from the front of house system to the stage. So my band, if you are working with any engineer, make sure that you don't demand so much from your FOH engineer to keep on buzzing the entire auditorium with all that noise. Else you are likely to face that challenge. And then another cause for that thing is the band themselves, especially in this age of in-ear mixing or personal do-it-yourself mixing, which people do it all by themselves over there. The instrumentalist or the band, they tend out to play out a lot of things. They just increase their volumes unknowingly because all that they will be doing is BA. Turn it up, and then by the time you realize your monitor mix will be as bad as anything. And then there is also another issue that when they are playing or when bands are playing, they do not have a good communication with the monitor engineer. So the monitor engineer must place himself at a corner or at a position where things can. Now, let me quickly jump to this point of creating the monitor mix. When it's time for you to create your monitor mix, as an engineer, you have to ask of the band to play rhythmically 3 songs that they feel and deem fit. Now, over here, the band members also should know that what they are performing is alright and that they are in tune with whatever thing. Now, we mix monitor on stage just for the purpose of the person or the band being in tune and in timing. It's not necessarily for you to have a exact feel of what you're having out there or at the front of house. Let's get this straight. People tend to mix out on the stage and the stage will be so loud. It is wrong. Please, it is wrong. So let's desist from that. So you actually mix on the stage just to be in tune as well as to be in timing. Now, you are also expected to approach your mix with all that I have said beforehand at the back of your mind. Just get to know that you are letting, as the sound engineer, you are letting or you are allowing the band to flow and to be in tune so that they can deliver the very best of their whole thing. And now, so the very first approach that you have to do is to bear in mind that everyone has a bank. Everyone has a bank to flow with. So you also flow with them accordingly. But please do it in a piecemeal approach so that you can serve each and everyone equally and that you won't have an excesses. Now, there is one thing which usually comes up with monitoring, dealing with feedbacks. Can we ever have a gig without feedbacks? Yes, it can be minimized, but not sometimes. Since we are in a human institution, even the Grammys, they sometimes encounter it at a point, but because of their whatever, they are able very well. Feedbacks are likely to be reduced to a considerable amount. Now, let's look at how you deal with feedbacks as a monitor engineer. One, you are supposed to place the microphone as close to the sound source as possible. For instance, if someone is the one who is ministering or the lead vocalist, he may want to hear him or herself so loud. What you have to do is that you have to place the microphone to his mouth, just like around 1 to 2 inches close, so that it shouldn't be so far away or far apart. And then he or she will also demand you to open up the more. No. You just have to place it closer to the source if possible. And now, if the sound source is loud, it helps a bit so that you can curtail what you are going to record out there, or what you are going to play out there. Now, another point over there is that, also angle the mic in a way that the speaker and the speaker away from the mic will not pick up. There is an angle that you should put it there so that from the top of your microphone through down to the floor wedges. If it's an in-ear, fine. You just cut 1 or 2 frequencies or ring it out and equalize it out, and then you are good to go. The other point is that keep the level from the speaker as low as practicable in the circumstances. Then the last one is that you equalize out the worst offending frequencies. This is where it comes to play. You equalize out the worst offending frequencies. That says something that you just have to equalize or take out, especially when you are using a graphic EQ. You take out certain frequencies that are not good enough or that are not helping with matters. You just use the graphic EQ to kill up all that. So this is an example of the graphic EQ that I'm talking about. You just, it's unfortunate my camera is not picking that one, but on the screen, you have it there. So you just use that one to ring out all forms of disturbing frequencies over there. And then the other point that I'm going to talk about right now is that, let me just wrap up. I think my time is almost up. All right. So after dealing with your feedback, now be in constant communication with your band so that once the feedback is done and settled with, when the drummer is asking of something, you shouldn't get offended. As a engineer, some people usually say, "Oh, engineer, when I said something that I needed this, he was offended and he was impolite." No, you don't have to be. You are working for the band as well as for yourself or for the producer or whoever of the event. So all that you need to do is to calm down, calm your nerves. If it's in-ears, you are even good to go. Many of late, I prefer to use the in-ears more because the more you complain, I can't hear myself. It's at your disposal. Just use it. For example, the P16 or the DP48, use it all by yourself. And then that one, if you don't know how to use it, fair enough. But if you know how to use it, you go about working it all by yourself. But if you don't know how to use this, don't lose hope because the stage engineer or the stage monitoring engineer will also be there to help you. So quick one, for my drum, I usually place in it the kick. My snare top, and then maybe hi-hat, or except that the drummer may ask for further things or more things. And then I also place in it the loops, because as for the loops or the kick, the click, that's what usually the drummers ask of the most. So I place in it, and then a little of the bass guitar, and then the lead vocal. That is what I do for my drummer in his in-ear or his floor wedge, if there's supposed to be, side fills. That's what I do for them, and then I route it through another mix. And then I also do for the bassist a lead vocal as usual, a bit of the kick, and then whether both in and out, I do for that one. And then I also do the loops or the other stuff for it, whatever, regardless of whatever he hears. A bit of everything. I wouldn't hesitate to put in everything at a time, else the sound will be muddy. And then I also, to the keyboardist, most keyboardists do not are not in need of the drums. They are in need of the clicks, and then the piano, actually, which will be guiding them throughout, and then as well as the lead vocal, and then a bit of the lead vocal. Usually, if there are two lead vocals, I do pan them. I do panning. But if it's only one lead vocal, I just place it at the center. My guitars are always at the right ends, if there are two guitars especially, so that they can surround the drummer. Sorry, they can surround the keyboardist. All right. So I usually do hard panning for the two guitars. If it's only one, I do about 60 to 70% on the left. That's what I usually do on the stage. I mean, this is not a front of house mixing. I usually do that for the guitarist. And then when I'm done, I also come into my percussionist, because almost all of my sessions with Agape Incorporated and a couple of other events, IS and all that, that is what I've been doing for them. And then by the end of the day, when you have a good mix and they also have a good time, you all put it together. So a very quick one. So this is how typically my drum will sound, my drummer's point will sound like. This is a virtual sound check. So with a drummer, you only hear of his kick and the loop. So that the rest of them all will be down there. Right? And then his bass. Listen, I'm the salt of the earth. Alright? So from there, then the bassist also have his only bass. Some of them like their bass in their head, in their in-ears and all that. Others also do not like it there. Somebody like Alfred Jr., whenever I'm mixing for him, I'm okay and I'm cool, because he wouldn't ask of much. He's a professional, so he doesn't do much. He will just tell you a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Achieve too, the same thing. I mean, these are the players that I must say I enjoy playing with so much time. And then there are a couple of other people that may also want everything. They will tell you everything. And now when the gig starts to play and they don't have clarity in their headphones or clarity in their floor wedges, the same people tend to come and complain, the thing is muddy, I'm not hearing myself, I'm not hearing this, I'm not doing this. Please, you asked for everything. You cannot have everything and have nothing. Do you hear me? You cannot have everything and have nothing. No. So you just ask for a bit of each and every one of it, and then we just mix it in there for you. For my EQing on my in-ear monitors, usually I love to keep them. I love to keep them on the low side. With the EQing, especially the drummer's EQ, I only do a little bit of low cutting, and then I just do a bit of the highs. I bring it down a bit so that you don't have so much of his hi-hats and other high-end instruments bustling his ear so much. So that's what I usually do for the drummer in the ear, not on the floor wedges, just the in ear, please. Sorry. And then at the bassist, the fact that he is a bassist, it doesn't warrant that I should give him even all the wasteful 20 hertz up to, let's say, the 50 hertz. No, sometimes I do cut it down just to clear some muddiness and muffness in there. All right, so I cut his bass, and then depending on the request he plays, I do cut a bit of the mids around the 1.5 or the 1.6K, and then I do something little over there. All right, so I don't touch it much because the person have to have a feel of it over there. With the highs of the bassist monitor, in-ear monitor, I only use the parametric. to dip it down a bit. And then when you come to the keys, usually because they have a wide range of keys up for themselves, a wide range of how do you call it? A wide range of uh, EQs or frequencies to themselves. You only have to be mindful of it so that a lot of frequencies that are bargaining so much wouldn't have them so much worried or wouldn't be ringing a lot of times in their ears. So I usually kill the high mid a bit and the high a bit. That's what I usually do. And then I come to my percussionist. With the percussionist too, I don't do so much of high cuts so that they can have a little bit of magic in there. And then I also come to my lead vocalist. If he's using an in-ear monitor with the lead vocalist, they will also get to have a feel of everything a bit, especially keyboards, himself or herself, the kick, yeah, the kick, as well as the loops or the click that he has been using. And then that one too, you also try to EQ out a bit of the high frequencies over there. And then you just do all that. So without much ado, I'll just want to end here. If there will be questions and answers out there, we'll be willing to answer them. And if people out there are also willing to have their any questions asked. So thank you.